Hi everyone, how are you? For those that didn't hear me just now, thank you for taking time out of your schedule to join me today for a webinar on how to grow your reach and raise more through online auctions and prize draws. Just some quick housekeeping. If you hear something you like, don't forget to tweet at Givergy UK with the hashtag #RaisingMore. This session is being recorded, so we will be sharing the slides and recording afterwards. And because it is listen only, feel free to type any questions you have in the chat, and we'll do our best to answer them at the end of the session. So, quick introduction so everyone knows who we are. I'm Lisa Vecchio. I'm the head of marketing here at Givergy, and I'm responsible for marketing our global programs, specifically our online platform, Givergy.com, which we'll learn a little bit more about today. I'm also joined by Sasha Richter from Warchild, who works in the music team, helping with their booking, promotion, and production of their events, as well as the volunteer program for some of the UK's largest festivals. And I'm also joined by my colleague, Alison Bunworth, who's the sales manager here at Givergy, with over 6 years experience in the online auction industry, previously coming from ATG Media within the fine art and antique space. So what are we going to cover today? We're going to take a quick look at the online fundraising landscape, talk about the gap in the market that we saw here at Givergy and why we launched Givergy.com, go into a bit more depth on what sells, look at some case studies and success stories hearing from Sasha himself, go into a bit about marketing and promotion of your online auction, and then how to make the most out of your campaign. So for those of you who don't know who Givergy are, we're an award-winning online fundraising tech company who partner with charities all over the world. We launched in 2009 here in London with our interactive silent auction, pledging, and mobile bidding tech to help charities raise as much money as they can at their events and online. The last 12 months, we've raised over $25 million for more than 1,200 charities globally through an array of interactive fundraising products. And having grown immensely since our inception, we now also have offices in the US, Canada, Hong Kong, and Australia. Okay, so let's look at this online fundraising landscape. What's happening out there? Well, according to an article published by UK Fundraising, nearly 1 in 3 people worldwide donated to charity in 2015. And the really good news is that giving is expected to grow another 4.3% in 2017. Most interesting, though, is that the vast majority of the giving will be done by individual people. So Virgin Money Giving recently did a survey with Third Sector, and they basically revealed that charities across the UK are not actually maximizing the potential of online fundraising, in which we know has its most potential with individuals. So what do I mean when I talk about online fundraising? Well, I'm talking about everything from direct donation buttons on charity websites and social media to personal fundraising platforms such as Just Giving and Virgin Money Giving, as well as online auction and prize draws, which we'll go into more detail today. But on the screen, I've got some figures here, and from the same report, we learned some alarming facts. Only 2% of charities feel that they are maximizing online fundraising as a donation channel. And interestingly, almost 10% of charities don't even use it at all. So if 36% of the largest charities in the survey, who all have turnovers in excess of £250 million, receive less than 1% of their income digitally, who's out there doing this? Even among charities that are generating a significant income from online fundraising, most believe that there are more opportunities to be exploited. So we're lucky, though, that we live in a world aided by social media, and online fundraising, however, is becoming more and more common. This is really good news because we've also learned that it can be really cost effective, and an estimated £10 is generated for every pound spent. But there are also some key challenges out there. And they basically take up 3 main areas. Firstly, there's a lack of expertise out there in the online fundraising space. So that's probably due to charities ranging in sizes where they don't necessarily have the personnel within their own teams to invest in a new area. Secondly, some people feel it's a bit more impersonal, and compared to traditional fundraising methods, online fundraising is quite new. And lastly, everyone's biggest fear is cost. Well, what I'm hoping that you'll get out of today's session is to learn a little bit more about how you can overcome some of these hurdles. So I'm going to do a quick poll now, keep you guys awake. It is lunchtime. So have any of you guys previously used an online auction site to fundraise before? So I'm just going to pull that poll up for you. And on the screen, if you could, respond. I see the responses coming through. Quite varied. Okay, well that looks like most of you have finished that. So I'm going to share the results. And very interesting, you know, most of you, or a little more than half, have actually tried it. So thanks for participating, and we'll take a closer look at what that means through the rest of the presentation. Okay, so now I'd like to introduce you to Givergy.com. In October 2015, we launched this exciting platform. It's a place that allows everyday consumers all over the globe to participate in auctions and prize draws with the chance to win money can't buy items and experiences, all in the aid of charity. So since we've launched this, we've raised over £500,000 for charities in the UK. Where did the idea come from? Well, as we've described, since 2009, we've helped charities all over the world raise money at their fundraising events with our signature silent auction and pledging products. With such a fantastic relationship with charities all over the world, it really got us thinking, you know, how can we help you fundraise 365 days a year and not just at your events alone? Many times we get approached by charities saying that they have leftover items after the event that didn't meet the reserve, or they were donated tickets last minute and it's a shame they had to go to waste because they didn't have anywhere to auction them off to raise money. So we surveyed the market, we talked to our customers, and we uncovered that really no one was able to offer a premium product that took the simplicity of something as basic as eBay for charities, coupled with some of the more sophisticated functionality that some of the platforms in the US are doing. And so what we were able to do is offer something that really made sure that we could enter the market and set a really high standard from the start. So with that, I'm going to introduce my colleague Alison, who's going to tell you a little bit more about how it works.
Thanks, Lisa. So at Givergy, it was important to us to give charities flexibility depending on what items that you have. So on the website, you have the ability to run a silent auction, a prize draw, or feature a buy it now item. So it does mean that no matter what option you choose, we can help with those recommendations on what does suit your item best. The items do sit on a customized charity page to give further exposure to your cause. And we found that branded campaign donation pages collect 38% larger donations than the generic online giving pages. So this is why we always customize each charity page to your brand. So this will be colors, logos, imagery, and also just to note that this can be edited at any time, depending on what campaigns that you're running. Another interesting point to note is that 57% of donors watch a video before giving. So this is why we always encourage charities to submit a video if they can. The charity page as well also always stays online even after an item is sold, so it increases that exposure and longevity. So for instance, people that were that had campaigns running when the site first launched, their charity page is still up online for people to see. An example on the screen, as you can see in the top right, is Right to Play. So this is their charity page. As you can see, it's fully brandable, fully customizable as well, with all of their colors and their logos. And then on the left side of the screen, we have examples of items on offer, and each of them have links back to the charity page. So users, so from a bidder point of view, users can use various filters to search. So through category, pricing, all of those are available to the bidder. And then when a user participates in an auction, they receive both text message and email updates. It helps keep them in the loop, encourages the competitive element, and just makes sure that they don't miss out on any last-minute competitive bidding. So we have found that with text, there's a massive 98% open rate. versus 22% open rate on email. So it is important to have those two elements in there for the bidder. We also include the pre-authorization of cards. So if any of you have Uber accounts, Apple IDs, you know that when you first register that you actually register your card details. So all the bidders have to do this when they first bid, and then what it means is it takes payment automatically once the auction closes. So who is our audience? Our audience, as you can see on the screen there, we've a pretty almost even split between male and female. However, this can always be influenced by campaigns. We do have a wide range of ages, as you can see up in the top right of the screen. The majority fall between the 25 to 34 profile support on both sides. As you know, we're always on our phones, so it's not hard to believe that mobile is the primary device for users to access the site, followed by desktop. And lastly, we do have users in over 185 countries. While half of these are in the UK, we are seeing a strong amount of bidders from the US and Europe as well. So what sells? Since the launch, we've partnered with over 40 charities on their campaigns. This has ranged on anything and everything from celeb meet and greets. One of these was access to Elton John's Oscars party in LA, which I was quite jealous of. And then exclusive tickets with airfare to the sold-out Hamilton the Musical in New York. There was child mascot prizes with the Rooney testimonial game, Formula One driving experiences, anything from luxury holiday escapes to bespoke foodie experiences. And then we also have art and culture. So an example of this, which we'll speak about a small bit later, is the David Bowie exhibit on Hedden Street. So we have learned a lot from various different campaigns about what sells and what we can offer advice-wise depending on your prize as well. So for example, a luxury holiday and hotels are great, but they do raise a far larger amount when airfare is included, and there are all-inclusive parts of that. With boy bands and prizes aimed at the younger audience, we find prize draws allow way more opportunity for young people to take part, with most prize draws starting at £10. It makes fans feel included, and it does get it out to a wider demographic. An example would be there was a Beyonce meet and greet auction on a different website that went for $40,000. A lot of the fans were disappointed as it went to somebody with deep pockets as opposed to a loyal fan base, and they felt they couldn't get involved. Saying that the site is for 18 years and over. So if you do have a unique item, we can chat to you to find the right solution for you. We have a lots team here and very experienced staff who can make recommendations on reserves and starting prices and so on. So if your item is a money can't buy item, putting it on Givergy.com will create a wider reach than if it was just confined to an event. So on to our next poll. So what we have is, the question is, which categories of items do you have access to or have you been donated? So you can see the list there, and also just to note that you can select more than one. We can see some responses coming in. And we can reveal those results pretty quickly as well.
Okay, these are really interesting. We find that travel and experiences are typically one of the more popular, so it's really interesting to see on the call here that sport is dominating that area. But no matter what you have, what we're going to talk about next is there's various ways that you can use these, as well as other ideas that you may not have thought of to raise more money. So with that, I'm now excited to go into the section where we're going to talk about some of these case studies and best practice. And I'm very, very excited and grateful to introduce Sasha Richter from Warchild, who's going to share his experience with using online auction sites. So thank you, Sasha. And Sasha, you may just need to unmute yourself. And I've just done that for you, so you can go ahead and share. Hi, Sasha.
Brilliant. Thank you, Lisa. Hi everyone. So I work for a charity called War Child, and we help children affected by war in countries such as Iraq and Afghanistan, in Jordan with Syrian refugees, in Africa, in DRC and Central African Republic. And we focus specifically on child protection, education and livelihoods. And more specifically, I work in the music and entertainment team of War Child. We have a long history within the kind of music industry. We released an album in '95 called the Help album, which is one of the most successful charity albums ever made. So what we do is we've got a kind of flagship event around the Brit Awards, which is called Passport to Brits Week 2, where we book and promote and produce up to 11 gigs. This year in February we had people including Florence and the Machine and Coldplay. Just to give you a bit of background, our ticket mechanic that we use is a price draw where people donate £4.50 for their chance to win 2 tickets to a big artist in a small venue. They're all small venues, so it feels really intimate. And we kind of found that it's a win-win situation because either they get the chance to see their favourite act in a small venue for £4.50, or they've donated £4.50 to charity, so no one really feels too bad about it. But what we also do is that we reserve what we call last pair tickets, which is always between 2 and 5 pairs of tickets to auction off online, because that is the chance for the gig goers to kind of guarantee their entry once they've won the auction. Apart from the gigs, we also partner up with some festivals, so we get kind of boutique camping tickets donated for certain festivals. One of the festivals that we partner with is the House Festival, which is Soho House festival, where only Soho House members can go, apart from the pair of tickets that we auction off. So in the past, we've only exclusively used eBay, but we found, especially this year, that while they use kind of, they protect promoters by kind of looking that people can't tout tickets online, which is great from our point of view as well. However, it didn't allow us to auction off our own tickets, and we had quite a lot of problems where we just couldn't upload them at all. Another problem with eBay is that it's incredibly time consuming. So if we've got between 2 and 5 pairs of tickets for 11 shows, that's normally between like 30 and 45 kind of entries that we have to upload and look after and communicate with. So this February we started using Givergy to do all this for us, which worked incredibly well, because basically we get a spreadsheet which we fill out with our copy. We send them back to Givergy and they look after us. Persia, who's our account manager, is doing an absolutely amazing job just kind of looking after all of this, where we really don't have to worry about it too much. She will make sure that the reserve is right and that the bidding increment is right. And then we can just kind of sit back and focus on producing and promoting the shows while this is going hand in hand. Another problem that we've had with eBay as well is that PayPal is such a kind of the way that you pay on eBay that certain people have placed a bid, but then were surprised that they could only use eBay, whereas everyone's got a debit or credit card, which is the way that you pay on Givergy. So that's absolutely amazing. Just a little bit about, because with the gigs that we do, it's quite hard to kind of measure success just in terms of money, because the acts changed and the venues changed. But one thing that we found with comparing eBay and Givergy are the House Festival tickets, which this year, with the help of Givergy, we sold for £1,300, which is an 85% increase from the previous year. So I can only highly recommend Givergy, because they've helped us a lot, making sure that everything is exactly right and they've reached the right amount of people and the right people to bid. So that's it for me.
Well, thank you, Sasha, and I promise I didn't pay him to say that. So really appreciate you sharing your experience. And so if anyone has any questions for Sasha, do type them in the chat, and we are we'll be coming to an end in just a couple of minutes, and he'll be more than happy to stay on the line and answer those questions. So yeah, moving on to another case study. So we just looked at hot tickets and how you can use online auctions to sell tickets to various festivals, concerts, and things like sporting events, etc. The next, we're going to look at the power of celebrities. So this is an example where J.K. Rowling has her own charity called Lumos, and many of you may know that Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, the play, is currently on in the West End, and it was one of the fastest-selling sold-out plays in history. So what they cleverly did is they took one night for an exclusive gala experience, and every seat in the theater was auctioned off on behalf of the charity Lumos. And not only did they have an impressive result with raising $160,000, one of the pairs of tickets went as far as just under 6. You can see that on the screen. It went for £5,820. But really what makes this story so unique is that JK proudly stood behind the cause and the auction. So she tweeted this about 4 or 5 times, and she ensured that it was prominent on Pottermore, which is the official Harry Potter website. And, you know, as Sasha just mentioned about ticking, touting, and whatnot, having JK verify that this was a legitimate auction going towards a good cause really helped ensure her fan base that they should participate and get involved in other ways. So that was a really neat auction to be involved with. Another example is exclusive partnerships. So last Christmas, we partnered with the Evening Standard for the Christmas Appeal, in which Great Ormond Street was their charity of choice. And they did something a bit different. What they did is they partnered with their editorial team to run the auction in the paper, which they traditionally would do, but then to direct people online. And so while they were able to feature, you know, spreads showcasing the items that were coming up, and they separated this out into 4 different auctions in groups of 20 different lots. And you know, their goal was 100,000. They surpassed that at just about 130,000. And after the 4 lots closed, it was an opportunity for them to go back and introduce some human interest stories about some of the people affected that Great Ormond Street are supporting and how the money was going to be used. So it was a bit of a promotional element tied back to then how it's all going to be helping a good cause. So after the auction finished, they come back to us and said, we just got donated last minute 2 pairs to Adele's sold-out show, which is happening this weekend. What do you think we'll do in 48 hours? And in 48 hours, they raised over £8,000. So we all had a bit of a giggle after that one closed, because we said, oh, if that ran for, you know, at least a week or 2, it would have been an outstanding result, even further to what it already is. And then the final case study I'll talk about in these examples is Thai Children's Trust, who are a small charity, and they were donated a signed Leicester City shirt. And when we talk about timing being everything, really it was ensuring that they got this shirt. Leicester just had won the Premier League. There was a lot of buzz in the media, and they approached us and said, you know, if we got a couple hundred for this, we would be delighted. And what we did is we partnered with them to issue a press release to try and pick up some media engagement around it. And it ended up going into a bidding war between a few individuals and closed at £4,000. So I think everyone can, you know, appreciate that £4,000 for a football jersey is a big win for anyone. So really what makes Givergy unique, and hopefully that example demonstrated that, is the level of marketing support we offer to your campaign. Each campaign is unique, and therefore we take a customized approach to every single auction or prize draw that comes on the site. So we can support it with as little or as much as required, but it certainly isn't a cookie cutter formula. So interesting fact, did you know that 18% of all online donations come from mobile device users, and 16% of donors give via emails that have been viewed on their mobile? So we know that mobile is the way to go, and that's demonstrated with the 60% of our users who access the site from their phone. But this is also one of the very reasons why our marketing is so successful. And that's because each week we send out to our growing database of 24,000 an email that basically sums up what's new on the site, and we see direct conversions and bids taking place directly from those emails. And the reason that is because this database of ours, this is a community of people who have participated in auctions before, either on the site or at our events, and therefore they're interested about hearing about what cool, amazing prizes are coming up next. They're anticipating it. Additionally, we post each item across our social media channels on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And we actually see most of the conversions coming from Twitter, which is quite interesting. And when certain options fit the profile, we'll also include our own marketing budget. So this isn't an additional cost to the charity to run ads, be those on Google using Google AdWords or Facebook ads to help drive clicks to the individual items. So an example of this would be we had VIP V Festival tickets on the site recently in support of UNICEF. And knowing that V Festival was completely sold out, we were able to look on Google to see what the search demand was for people still trying to get tickets. And so we ran some ads on Google then, targeting people looking at tickets so that they could come on and know that they could get this really cool experience, VIP, backstage, all this sort of great stuff through Givergy, and it was helping UNICEF along the way. We would do the same thing on Facebook. We can target groups that have similar interests. So we knew which people liked the bands that were playing at the festival, and then we were able to target them with ads as well. And lastly, this really is a differentiator. We partner with a PR firm, and this PR firm's job is exclusively to focus on driving bids to the site and to your items. So I have to say that there's obviously no guarantee of coverage. We'll do what, the best that we can. The media can be quite picky at times, but what we'll do is we'll partner with you, and if you have a PR team and a social media team, we'll work together to draft a press release and push that out to the media contacts. I know a lot of times larger charities who have PR and media teams, they're usually tied up in other campaigns, and this is where we can really help take that burden off of you by saying, we'll draft it, you guys absolutely sign off on it, and then we'll do the rest. Small charities as well who don't necessarily have those teams, this is a great opportunity to get additional exposure about your cause as well. So an example would be if you had a luxury food experience, we would engage not only with food and wine magazines and websites, but we'd also target food bloggers to attempt to pick up additional coverage so that they can sort of get that out on all those foodie social networks. So from my experience though, really the power of driving bids and getting the most out of your campaign is if we all collaborate together. So, I just demonstrated Givergy's commitment to marketing on our end. And really, people are coming from Givergy's angle because they know we've got really interesting prizes up every single day. It's also really useful if the charity helps support the campaign by, tapping into your own database, by sending it out in a newsletter, sharing on social media, etc. Because you have a lot of loyal donors who want to participate and look for new ways to give money rather than the same ways, each and every year. And most importantly, if there is a celebrity or an ambassador around the campaign, or even an ambassador to your cause, having them tweet and share about it will make a dramatic and direct impact to the campaign. It validates the campaign, and it shows all of their loyal supporters another way that they can sort of feel closer to that celebrity. So I'm going to pass it back to Allison. She is going to tell you a little bit more about how outside of events, there's still lots of opportunity, 365 days a year, to get involved.
Thanks, Lisa. So it's actually really easy to get involved without causing any hassle, disrupting what I can imagine is a very heavy workload you all have at the moment. So for example, one way that we give back is through our Charity of the Month campaign, which you can see on the screen. So each month we give back to one lucky charity who used the Givergy service at their live event the previous month. Excuse me. We donate a lot item, so we donate that lot on givergy.com to support the cause, and 100% of the proceeds minus the card fees go straight to the charity. So it's a really great way to get charities, new charities involved, and showcase how you can fundraise outside of just events as well. So fundraising 365 days a year, it's easier than you think, and with no any kind of event dates to be tied to, you can literally place items on our website all year round. So just think about the leftover lots you have from live events, items which didn't meet the reserve. A good example is a charity partner of ours, NSIF. They had similar lots that they would put up for auction to patrons at an annual golf event. So last year they did something slightly different. They wanted to reach a wider audience and chose a few items to auction off on Givergy.com. And the result was additional funds raised, and as well, quite importantly, they also acquired new supporters. For those of you lucky enough to have a celebrity ambassador, we all know their time is limited, but it's of huge value, as Lisa just described. So how can you get them involved in unique meet and greets or experiences? Think further about that. Another example is Wayne Rooney. He's the ambassador of NSPCC. He offered a mascot place for his Man United testimonial match. And lastly, think about what you already have access to, what's at your disposal. The last example there is the Evening Standard, which works in conjunction with GOSH. They got really creative with their internal resources. So what they did was they offered a lunch with their food critic, which was really cost effective, and it meant that they didn't have to source outside prizes. And then get creative. Think about it a bit more. Think about the time of year, key holidays and themes you can align your campaign to. So it may be the month of your cause of choice, just say Cancer Awareness Month, or around a clever idea. So an example there on the left-hand side of the screen, you can see the little stocking, is Trek Stock's Christmas campaign last year. So they ran a series of prize draws for their hashtag Trek Stocking campaign, creatively implementing a hashtag around their celebrity prizes. Again, NSIF also ran a holiday experience and packaged this around Valentine's Day as a romantic getaway. I mean, this item could have been used earlier in the year, but it made more sense with the right angle to present itself for the prize to put it for Valentine's Day. And lastly, another great example is the Ferrari experience you see on the right, positioned for Father's Day. It made a great gift guide example, which the media loves, but the possibilities are endless. Anything that you can think of to run your charity campaign beside. Okay, so with our transparent pricing, it is one of the best parts about Givergy is that there's no risk because it's commission-based. So being the most competitively priced offering in the market, it really is an end-to-end service, kind of an all-encapsulating service. So from marketing and account management support to automated card processing and reporting, our commission fee of 10% is fully inclusive of all of these services.
Okay.
So we do pride ourselves on our service and support quite a lot. Personal dedicated account manager, which Sasha spoke about, is Persia, always does an amazing job to ensure that your campaign looks great and runs really smoothly. Then coupled with PCI compliancy and pre-authorization, it shows that we are showing to you that you can be rest assured that we take data protection seriously and that we want to reduce false bids and payments as much as possible. And then as all the reporting is in real time, you always know where you stand. You can have that information anytime you want by contacting Persia, and you can just see how everything is hopefully building and going up on the website. So just on to a collaboration we had with Cancer Research UK on a campaign featuring rare David Bowie photos. Steph, one of the girls we worked with, couldn't join us today, but she wanted to advise on her best practice points to note for an online auction. So this is kind of the feedback that she gave us after the very successful campaign. So firstly, include lots of detail to prevent questions. So the more detail you have, the more chance you have of capturing the bidder there and then for them to make their bid. To find out extra information, you may kind of lose them at that point. So put in as much detail regarding dates, size of items, anything you can think of. Obtain high quality, honest pictures. So, for instance, if you have something that is signed memorabilia, have a close-up of the signature. If there's a certificate of authentication, include that in there as well. Just give as many choices as possible to the bidders. And then direct people using lots of different channels. So, as Lisa said as well, there's people coming in from all different channels onto the website, from social media. As you can see on the left-hand side, the official David Bowie Instagram page promoted this cancer research campaign, and it got over 14,000 likes, which is hugely impressive. And then track where the traffic is coming from. We have real-time reporting on this data, so we can see exactly where people are coming from when they land on the website. And again, keep in contact with the winners. You know, they will keep supporting you probably as well. You may have where they've obviously bought something that they've quite liked, but they can continue to obviously support your campaigns and your cause as well. And last but not least, my favourite point on this list, and there was no coercion involved, is look nowhere else other than Givergy. So if you want to feature any items online or just simply chat more, brainstorm, anything like that, my email is on screen. The webinar will be sent to everyone, so you will be able to have my email address if you don't get a chance to jot it down. So just make sure that you file that somewhere important. So at this point, we'll take any questions. I'm sure they've been firing away through the chat throughout the session.
Yeah, well, thanks, Alison. Appreciate that. Yeah, so if anyone has any questions, please type them in the chat. I got all of your responses that you can hear us now. There's a few that came in during the session, so I'll start with some of those, and then if anyone else has any others, feel free to fire away. Yeah, so the first one looks like, what if I have a last-minute item with a quick turnaround? How much time is needed?
Basically, I mean, we have had events in the past where just say tickets have come in last minute for an event on a Saturday and they may receive the call and the email on the Tuesday or the Wednesday. We have a very quick turnaround time. We can get it up that day if you can have all of your logos and obviously images and text of the items. Obviously, we prefer a longer lead in time, you know, with marketing and PR allows to kind of build a campaign, but sometimes that is out of your control and they are time sensitive. So yes, we can do a very quick turnaround time. As you saw with the Adele tickets, that was literally 48 hours, and you can see exactly what happened there as well.
Thanks, Alison. And Sasha, one of the campaigns we did with him was quite short notice. Sasha, do you want to talk about that experience with last-minute tickets?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we had the tickets that we had for some of our shows in February. It was an incredible quick turnaround. I remember we tried to get it up on eBay the night before and it didn't work, and we sat in the office until 12 o'clock, and then in the morning called you, Lisa, and it was up within hours and actually made quite a lot of money. So it was absolutely incredible. And then from our point of view, it's very easy because you dealt with the winning bidder. We got I can't remember his or her name, put them on the guest list, and they were in the gig I think 2 days later. So yeah, you were absolutely incredible doing it so quickly.
Well, thanks for that. Moving on to the next question. Sasha, I'm just going to keep you online in case you do want to contribute to anything else that someone might ask. What if my item doesn't sell? How much does it cost still?
Well, as it's commission-based, if the item doesn't sell, then we don't take any funds because there's no obviously end sale price to take the commission from. So this is why we say that it is a kind of a no-risk thing, because you don't have to pay any of those upfront fees or any hidden costs. It's just very simple across the board.
Okay. One from another one. Can we simply have a donate button for people who may come to the auction but not want to bid, leaving the donation? And Samantha, that's a great question. It's actually something that it's on our roadmap and something that we're hoping to release this year. So we'll definitely keep you informed once that goes live, because we agree that that is an important request. Another question is, how long do you recommend keeping the auction open for? And I can answer that. It really is at your discretion, but from best practice, 2 weeks is ideal. 3 weeks probably max, and as we just talked about, for things that come up last minute, we can, you can keep it on for 24, 48 hours if you like, but you just need to be mindful that that does limit the opportunity to promote it. So if you're going to do something that last minute, you need to make sure that, we all can collaborate on that plan to make sure that we can get that out and in front of as many people as possible to make the most of it. Any other questions? Feel free to type them in the chat. I've got one more. Is it available to countries outside of the UK?
So this is on the Givergy.com website. It is worldwide, so anyone can enter from any point around the world. At the moment, we have where people pay in sterling, but again, on our roadmap, we have where we will ideally have it where people can pay in their own currency so they don't have to do the whole conversion rate. But at the moment, anyone can enter.
Fantastic. And if you do have limitations on your end because you don't want to offer the prize to people outside of the UK, we can simply put those in our terms and conditions. So at that point, I'd just like to thank everyone for your time. We will be sending the slides and the recording around, and feel free to pass those along to any of your colleagues who may have not been able to join us today. And feel free to drop us a line if you just want to brainstorm and chat through any ideas you may have. And I wish you all a pleasant lunch and afternoon. So thank you. And thank you again, Sasha, for joining us.
No problem. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.